Hi, this video is going to show you how to work the Turkish cast on to give you a sealed end for toe-up socks. There are other methods of getting a sealed cast on at the beginning of your toe-up socks, but this is the method that I find easiest to use. So these are examples of socks that I've done which have all been worked with a toe-up cast on and then different types of heel, but it's a way of doing your socks. So if I move them out of the way, the method that I use requires 2 circular needles and obviously your yarn. When you're learning the technique, it's quite often helpful to start by having 2 different types of circular needle. As you can see here, I've got a metal needle and I've got a bamboo needle, so it just makes it easy to know which needle I'm going to use, because when I do toe-up socks I do work them using the 2 circular needles method. You can of course change after you've done the cast on. If you prefer using double pointed needles, you can then change your stitches onto double pointed needles, but this is the way that I work them. So start with a slip knot. The slip knot is going to be discarded eventually, and I'm going to put the slip knot on the lower needle as I'm holding them. So I've got the bamboo needle sitting under the metal needle, and I've put the slip knot onto the lower needle, and I've got the yarn coming from behind both needles. And all I'm going to do now is to wrap the yarn around the 2 points for the number of stitches that I need. So if I need, say, 8 stitches, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've worked 8 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I find it easier to hold on to the yarn because I need to keep it so that it's still looped around the bottom needle. And now I'm going to pull my bottom needle, the bamboo needle, forward so that the loops go onto the cord. This is basically to make it easier for you to now work the stitches. And now taking the other end of my metal needle, I'm going to start knitting the loops that are on my metal needle. So I bring the yarn round and I just start knitting. Whether you want to knit English style or continental, it doesn't matter. I happen to normally work English style throwing, so that's the way I'm demonstrating. So I'm knitting the 8 loops off the top needle. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So that's the 8 loops that I put onto the metal needle. I'm now going to turn the needles around so that the metal needle is at the bottom and the stitches that are on the cord of the bamboo needle are at the top. And I'm going to pull, sorry, I'm just holding on to things at the minute so that we don't lose any stitches. I'm going to pull the metal needle so the loops go onto the cord, get them out of the way, and push the stitches that were on the bamboo cord onto the bamboo point. And now we're going to get rid of the slip stitch because we don't need the slip knot. So I'm going to take out the slip knot and then bring the point of the bamboo needle round and under the arm so that I can now knit. So I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't lose that last loop on that bottom needle. I'm now going to knit the 8 loops off my bamboo needle. So I now have 8 loops or 8 stitches on my bamboo needle, and I've got 8 stitches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on my metal needle. And I would now just continue working around and around to do my sock toe. I've finished with the bamboo stitches, so they go onto the cord. I push the stitches for the metal needle up onto the metal needle. So again, this is showing you how to knit using 2 circulars if you've not done that before. And I would now take the other end of the metal needle to start working my next round. And because this is a sock, I would also need to work an increase. So I'm going to do an increase. In this case, I'm going to do a lifted increase. Then I'm going to knit to the last stitch on the metal needle. And I'm going to do the lifted increase in the other direction at the other end of the sock. So that's my lifted increase, 1 stitch in, and then my last stitch. So I should now have 10, 4, 6, 8, 10. Rotate the knitting so that I can push the stitches up towards the bamboo point. I find it easier to pull, I push my needle up first and then I pull the lower needle out, because then that allows the stitches to have a little bit more room when you push them up onto the point of the other needle. Pick up the other end of the bamboo needle, and again it's still the first increase round, so I'm going to knit the first stitch. Whoops, move my points out of the way so they don't make lots of noise. Do a make one left at this end, knit to the last stitch on this needle, do a make one right and knit the last stitch, and then I would then knit, so that's the end of that round. I would then knit a round without increases. At the moment it looks a bit strange because it appears to be flat, but it will, after a few rounds, start to fold at that point, and that is your sealed cast on edge. So I find that's a very neat and quite easy way of doing a sealed cast on, which is ideal for toe up socks or for any other situation where you want a closed edge at the bottom. So that's the Turkish cast on for toe up socks.